Our warm-up, unlabeled points. The instructions are to label each point on the coordinate plane with the appropriate letter and ordered pair. So we will be dragging these ordered pairs to the coordinate plane in the right location. What I like to do when I have a problem like this is I start with quadrant number 1. The 1 point I have on quadrant number 1 is right here, and I can determine the x coordinate. When I start at 0, 0, I have to figure out how many spaces am I moving to the right to reach that point. And I can stop right here, and I can tell that the x coordinate is 3. When I go in and look at the 4 different points, I need to look at the one that has a 3 for the x coordinate. A has 7 for the x coordinate. B has -8 for the x coordinate. C has 3 for the x coordinate. So I can drag this over and label that point. Just like that. Now that I am done with quadrant 1, I can move on to quadrant 2. I am going to start with this point. And again, my first step is to figure out my x coordinate. So when I start at 0, I need to figure out how many spaces am I moving to the left to reach that point. I move -1, I move to -2, -3, and I can tell that this point is in between -3 and -4. So I can estimate that the x coordinate is -3.5, around -3.5. So now I am going to look at these ordered pairs and find which one has -3.5 as my x coordinate. And I can see that D has -3.5 as the x coordinate. So I can go ahead and select D and drag it over to that point. So this point is D. I have another point in quadrant 2, this one over here. So I have to start at 0, 0 and identify the x coordinate. I pass -3, pass -4, pass -5, -6, -7, and I can tell here that the x coordinate is at -8 because if I move up on -8, I will reach that point. So when I look at the 2 remaining ordered pairs, I have to see which one has -8 on my x coordinate. This one has 7 and this one has -8. So that point is labeled as B. I'm going to go ahead and drag it over. And I like to place the letter right above the point. So sometimes you have to play around with it a little bit, which is fine. And just to double check my work so far, I can grab my pen here and show you that the x coordinate is -8. So this is the x coordinate, and my y coordinate should be 4, which means that after I reach -8, I should move 4 spaces up on the x-axis and be able to reach point B. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is correct. Now that I am done with quadrant 2, I can move on to quadrant 3. And I don't have any points in quadrant 3. So my last remaining point is in quadrant 4. And I have one last ordered pair. So this one must match this last point here. And again, to just double check my work, I can make sure that the x coordinate pair for this point is really 7. So I always start at 0, 0. And to get to that point, I do have to go up to 7, and I go down past -5, in between -5 and -6, which is -5.5, and that is listed as my y coordinate. So I am correct. And so this is our final answer. I'm going to go ahead and erase all these marks so that you can check your work. And make sure that you label your points correctly.